Welcome back. So I'm here with Alexandre Jenny of Kolor, which is sort of the industry standard software for stitching, Autopano Video Pro. And Sarah Hill is back with me, and she didn't realize she was co-hosting, so I'm going to let her take like 2 seconds to tell you about herself. Is that okay?
Sure. I use Kolor Autopano products to stitch our pieces. I'm from Story Up Studios. We have an immersive media company, and we create stories that affect specific brainwave patterns, so we're into media therapy. We're story nerds and brain nerds as well.
All right, perfect. Well, we're really happy to have you both, you as host and you as guest.
Thank you.
I guess the big news is 2 things from GoPro and Kolor. The Autopano Video Pro 3 coming out, and the Fusion camera.
Definitely.
So I guess my first question is an easy one. So the Fusion camera, can we expect the same stitching quality that Kolor has become known for in the industry from Fusion, and is it automatic?
Yes, definitely you will expect even better quality. This is the new algorithm that we are building. In fact, it's called the Dewarp, and the Dewarp will be by default using the Fusion camera. So
interesting.
So for people who aren't familiar, describe what is the Fusion camera and how is it different from the Omni or any of the other immersive media products?
The Fusion camera, so we cannot really talk exactly about all the details, but what is there, it's a dual lens, 5.2K, 30 frames per second camera. And you should expect it's a GoPro camera, meaning it has all the features you expect from a GoPro camera to have. And it's
there
really
are very
awesome.
few details in the press release, so I'm like looking at the pictures, trying to figure out like, oh, that 2 lenses, like it's really small, it's on a helmet, like, yeah, very secret.
We won't tell anybody.
No,
yeah,
and you learn more.
We're not live yet.
No, you you learn more during the following weeks and months, and it's really an awesome product.
Patience is in fact a virtue.
I was waiting for that product to come out since a long time. So
interesting, very cool. Well, that's exciting. And I guess the second thing is on Autopano Video Pro 3 coming out. Talk about the dewarping feature. I think we got to see it at commercial break, but I want to hear it straight from your mouth.
So definitely, when you have any type of rig, the Omni or other camera rigs, you always have the problem of having the camera. The camera doesn't see the object that are around you exactly from the same point of view, and that causes stitching artifacts, which is currently the big problem with processing 360 video. It takes time to fix this small stuff. By default, Autopano, the current version, does already a really good job, but at some point when the object is really close to the camera rigs, it's complicated. So the Dewarp is a new technology. It's a depth analysis system that allows you to really do the stitching and adaptive stitching along the seams that fix most of the stitching artifacts. So with the Omni, for example, before you have a radius that would say after 2 meters everything was great. Now it's probably more at 70 centimeter radius that everything is great. It's really awesome. And one good point here, it's not like other approaches, it's time consistent, meaning it works even if the camera has a motion, traveling in the car and stuff, which is really different from the other approach that cannot handle that case.
How is that going to change things for you?
Yeah, well, I just had a question, specifically about control points. Is the workflow still the same when it comes to stitching in Autopano with these new features? Are you still using control points and masking in order to manipulate the
in fact, it's compatible with the both systems. So you have stitching state still in Autopano Video 3 that will say, here I'm indoor, I will make a template, and that template will be good for most of the case for indoors. And then when you go outdoors, you will create another state with new control points, stuff like that can create a new registration template for the outside. On top of that, then you can apply the warp. That will fix the remaining part of this control point. So you will need to have far less number of states along the timeline than before. Perhaps one inside, one outside, and the warp does the rest.
Because if you have any movement, it's like your timeline is all these all the dots.
You have really a lot of states. So we even tried just to have one state and just using the dewarp alone. Most of the time it works, but it's better to have perhaps 1 or 2 or 3 states for let's say 10-minute video, and then the dewarp on top of that, and it will fix the rest.
Yeah. Do you think there's ever going to be a time where it's all in one software? Right now, you have Autopano Video and you have Autopano Giga, and one is the left hand and one is the right hand, and you're going back and forth between them.
Yes.
And sometimes it opens, but if you haven't updated the other one, then it doesn't open. You need to update them.
Yeah.
So will there ever be sometime when it's just all one piece of software
Yeah.
that they communicate.
Yeah, so that's a really good remark. It has been a hot topic at our support. In fact, the fact that we still need to have Autopano Giga to be able to edit the control point. While we are in Autopano Video, we want to stitch a video. In fact, it's just a question of the amount of resources we put on the developer part to be able to create a new control point editor and to be able to have that into AVP. That was the big problem here. It was simpler to reuse a brick that was already there in a separate software. So we don't need to do it again on the second one. So, but we definitely know that this is a problem for some of our users. So we are making what is needed to be able to have a link that is less needed, I would say.
Okay, so with this dewarping feature, the field order, first field order, third field order, does that change any of that workflow?
No.
Or does that option still exist to
No,
select
still,
between? Okay.
Yeah, it still exists, and it's a final pass on the it's like when you use the output of AVP2 and you apply a new pass on that will fix automatically. It's like an NAB plugin that you can have that just do everything there. But it's integrated in a good way. You have preview, so you can already see what is going to be before you do the final rendering. It's really, really great.
Okay, maybe talk about licenses too.
Sure.
What does license cost, and how many machines can you put that on?
So AVP and all color software, in fact, this is really what we agree. It's a user license, meaning when you buy a license, you have a license, and you are allowed to install it on 2 computers, because many of our customers just have a desktop for high performance rendering, but also on laptop on the field to be able to prove directly on the field the footage that they just capture. So this won't change, and our upgrade policy for the people that already asked, I answer that question really a lot on our booth. It's usually it's between 30 to 40% of the initial price to upgrade to a new major release. AVP3 is a new major release. Time frame, before you ask the question, is around July, and the alpha version that you can try with your current 2.x key. You can try it and do some work already. It's in 2 weeks from now.
And I do have a question about stitching in general. So we just had this panel and everybody's talking about the changes and the improvements in stitching. And on the high end, you've got cloud stitching, and on the lower end to mid end, you've got automatic stitching. So how is color going to fit into the future where the stitching jobs are getting narrower and narrower?
Yeah, true. At 10 years from now, we won't have stitching anymore. We won't talk about that subject anymore, because it will be either in the camera, so new SoCs, so new GPUs directly in the camera, or it will be completely cloud somewhere else hardware. So I'm waiting for that. Until that, there's still a lot to be done right now to be able to just stitch the footage that we have from any type of shape of camera. And this is really the goal with Autopano Video. It's a generic stitcher, any camera, any layout.
Yeah, very cool.